Listen, I want to ask you something directly. When was the last time you truly sat down and looked at your cholesterol numbers? Not just hearing from a doctor that you're borderline and leaving with a prescription, but actually understanding what those numbers mean for your heart, your arteries, and the next 20 years of your life. Because here is what most men over 45 fail to realize. LDL cholesterol, often labeled as the bad kind, doesn't harm you in an obvious way. It doesn't trigger warning signs, chest pain, or a moment where you think, something is wrong. Instead, it quietly and gradually builds up inside your arterial walls over years, sometimes even a decade, before anything appears on a scan. And here is the frustrating part. You can feel completely fine. Your energy is decent, no clear symptoms, nothing alarming during your annual checkup, except that one number slowly increasing year after year. Now imagine this. 8 weeks from today, you return for another blood test. Your doctor reviews your results and asks, "What have you been doing differently?" Your LDL has dropped by 20, maybe even 30 points without any prescription. That is not wishful thinking. That is what consistent, targeted lifestyle changes can realistically achieve for many men in your position. And today, Dr. Mateo Martines is going to walk you through 9 evidence-based strategies to help you get there. But I need you to stay with me into the second half of this video, because Dr. Mateo Martines will also reveal 2 supplements that millions of people are currently taking, believing they support cholesterol naturally. One of them may be contaminated with a toxin that can harm your kidneys. The other has been associated with serious liver damage. Both are marketed as natural alternatives to medication. I will name them, explain the risks, and show you what to do instead. So before you go anywhere, let's begin with strategy number 1. And this is the foundation. This is what changes how everything else works. Most people trying to lower LDL start by reducing fat intake. Less fat in the diet should mean lower LDL in the blood. That's the assumption many carry for years. The problem is, that idea is only partially correct, and the misleading half is what causes confusion. Here is what the science actually shows. Not all fats increase LDL. Saturated fats do. These are found in butter, coconut oil, full-fat dairy, and fatty cuts of red meat. They signal your liver to reduce LDL clearance by lowering the activity of LDL receptors on liver cells. Fewer receptors mean less LDL is removed from the bloodstream, resulting in higher levels. On the other hand, polyunsaturated fats, the kind found in salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds, have the opposite effect. They increase the activity of those same receptors, allowing your liver to remove more LDL and bring your levels down. A large meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, reviewing over 60 randomized controlled trials, showed that replacing saturated fats, specifically with polyunsaturated fats, not carbohydrates, led to the most significant reductions in LDL. We're talking about average decreases of 8 to 12%, sometimes even more. Monounsaturated fats, like those found in olive oil, avocados, and almonds, work slightly differently but produce a similar overall benefit. They support HDL while helping regulate LDL, effectively improving both sides of the equation. So here is what you actually do. Replace butter with extra virgin olive oil. Use it for cooking, on bread, as your default fat. Add a daily handful of walnuts, around 30 grams, roughly the size of a small closed fist. Include salmon or another fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week. Sardines and mackerel are equally effective and often more affordable. Add avocado regularly, as its monounsaturated fats actively support a healthier cholesterol balance. You are not eliminating fat, you are upgrading it. That mindset shift is critical. Most patients who follow this consistently for 6 to 8 weeks begin to see measurable improvements on their next blood test. Not dramatic overnight changes, but real, documented progress. Now, strategy 2. And this one genuinely surprised Dr. Mateo Martines the first time he reviewed the research. A few years ago, he worked with a very disciplined patient who had improved his diet significantly and was doing almost everything right, yet his LDL barely changed over 3 months. They reviewed everything together and eventually focused on his morning routine. Every day, he was drinking 2 large cups of French press coffee. Coffee contains a compound called cafestol, a natural oil found in coffee beans, and it has a very specific effect. It suppresses the receptors in your liver responsible for clearing LDL from your bloodstream. Quietly, consistently, every single day.
Thoughtful. Studies comparing filtered and unfiltered coffee methods have shown that unfiltered coffee, like French press, Turkish coffee, espresso, or boiled coffee, can raise LDL by up to 15 points compared to paper-filtered methods that in some individuals, especially those who metabolize caffeine more slowly. The increase can be even higher.
Some estimates suggest that consuming 4 to 6 cups of French press daily over several months could raise LDL by 25 points or more. That is not a minor fluctuation. That is clinically significant. The solution is surprisingly simple. Use a paper filter. That's it. Paper filters trap cafestol before it reaches your cup. Drip coffee or pour-over methods with paper filters are effectively free of this compound, meaning your LDL levels are not impacted in the same way. If giving up espresso or French press feels impossible, consider reducing how often you drink it. Make it occasional rather than daily. Dr. Mateo Martines had that patient switch to paper-filtered coffee while keeping everything else the same. 8 weeks later, his LDL dropped by 9 points. One small change, 0 cost. That's the kind of hidden leverage many people overlook every morning. Strategy 3, and this is one worth spending time on because the mechanism is extremely powerful, is soluble fiber. Your digestive system plays a much larger role in cholesterol metabolism than most people realize, primarily through a process called bile acid recycling. Here is how it works. Your liver produces bile acids from cholesterol, which then enter your gut to help digest fats. Normally, about 95% of these bile acids are reabsorbed in the lower intestine and recycled back to the liver in a continuous loop. Soluble fiber interrupts this loop. When consumed, it absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance in your gut. This gel binds to bile acids, preventing them from being reabsorbed. Instead, they are excreted. Now your liver needs to produce new bile acids to replace what was lost. To do that, it pulls more cholesterol from your bloodstream, lowering your LDL levels in the process. This is well-established physiology. In fact, the FDA has approved a health claim for beta-glucan, the soluble fiber found in oats, because the evidence supporting its LDL-lowering effect is strong enough to meet their standards. Research suggests that consuming 7 to 10 grams of soluble fiber daily is where meaningful results begin. Below that, the effect is modest. At or above that level, many individuals see LDL reductions of 5 to 10%. Here is how to apply it. Start your day with oats, rolled oats, not instant. Add 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. Include beans and lentils in your meals. Eat fruits like apples, pears, and citrus. If needed, psyllium husk is a reliable supplement. 1 teaspoon provides about 5 grams of soluble fiber. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried adding psyllium husk to your routine? Write yes or no in the comments. Dr. Mateo Martines is genuinely curious. Strategy 4 is closely related: plant protein. Clinical trials show that replacing red meat with plant-based protein sources like nuts, seeds, and legumes leads to measurable reductions in LDL. Part of the effect comes from increased fiber and reduced saturated fat, but there also appears to be a direct influence of plant proteins on liver cholesterol metabolism. Soy protein, in particular, has been extensively studied, with consistent findings showing LDL reductions of 4 to 8% when 30 to 50 grams of plant protein replace animal protein daily. This doesn't mean becoming vegetarian. It simply means making smarter substitutions a few times per week. Lentil soup instead of beef stew. Almonds and black beans instead of red meat. Flax seeds added to your breakfast. Small changes that compound over time. Strategy 5 is physical activity and weight management. If you are carrying excess weight, losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight can significantly improve your cholesterol profile. This is not optional, it's foundational. Exercise also directly impacts cholesterol metabolism. Cardio activities like walking, cycling, or swimming can raise HDL and modestly lower LDL. Resistance training improves insulin sensitivity and reduces triglycerides, influencing overall cardiovascular risk. Additionally, the type of LDL matters. Small, dense LDL particles are more harmful than larger ones. Regular exercise shifts your profile toward these larger, safer particles, even if total LDL doesn't change dramatically. The goal is 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week, plus 2 strength training sessions. If you're just starting, begin with 20 to 30 minutes of walking daily and 2 simple strength workouts per week. Strategy 6 involves something many people never associate with cholesterol: your gut microbiome. Probiotics and fermented foods play a role in bile acid metabolism, similar to soluble fiber but through a different pathway. Certain gut bacteria produce enzymes that reduce bile acid reabsorption, forcing your liver to use more cholesterol to create new bile acids. This lowers LDL levels over time. Fermented foods like miso, kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir support a diverse microbiome. 1 to 2 servings per day can help build this environment gradually. This is not a quick fix, it's long-term infrastructure for your metabolism. Strategy 7. Eggs. For decades, eggs were blamed for raising cholesterol. The logic seemed simple but was incomplete. Your liver adjusts its cholesterol production based on intake. For most people, eating 1 egg per day has minimal impact on LDL. What matters more is what you eat alongside eggs: butter, processed meats, and other sources of saturated fat. For most healthy individuals, eggs are not the problem. Now, before continuing, Dr. Mateo Martines wants to address something important. There are 2 widely used supplements that can quietly undermine everything we've discussed. The first is red yeast rice. It lowers LDL because it contains monocolin K, which is chemically identical to the prescription drug lovastatin. Essentially, you are taking an unregulated statin. The issue is contamination. The fermentation process can produce citrinin, a toxin known to damage the kidneys. Many commercial products have been found to contain this contaminant with no consistent regulation or quality control. If you need statin-level treatment, it's far safer to use a prescribed medication with controlled dosing and safety monitoring. The second supplement is concentrated green tea extract in capsule form. While drinking green tea is beneficial, high-dose extracts have been linked to serious liver injury. Regulatory agencies like the FDA and EFSA have issued warnings about this. The problem is dose. A capsule can deliver the equivalent of dozens of cups of tea, overwhelming the liver in some individuals. Drinking green tea is safe. Concentrated extracts are not the same thing. So here is the key takeaway. Lasting LDL reduction comes from a combination of strategies working together, not isolated fixes. Diets like the Mediterranean and DASH patterns consistently outperform supplement-based approaches because they address multiple mechanisms at once. When you combine these strategies, better fats, more fiber, plant protein, filtered coffee, exercise, and fermented foods, you create a powerful cumulative effect. That's when 20 to 30-point reductions become realistic. In practice, this means olive oil as your primary fat, fish twice per week, daily nuts, high-fiber breakfasts, limited red meat, filtered coffee, regular activity, and fermented foods. Build gradually, 1 habit at a time. And one final point from Dr. Mateo Martines. The patients who see the best results are not the ones who are perfect. They are the ones who stay consistent. Week after week, month after month, even when progress feels slow. Because cholesterol reflects your habits over time, and what you do over the next 90 days will be clearly visible in your next blood test. If you found this helpful, a quick like helps more people discover accurate, evidence-based information. Most content on this topic is trying to sell you something. Dr. Mateo Martines aims to be the exception. If you want a deeper breakdown of how to structure your meals using these principles, there is another video linked in the description. Consistency will always outperform perfection. I'll see you in the next one.